Hey folks, Mike Dawkins from World Cast Anglers here with your Jackson Hole fly fishing forecast for the weekend of April 27th and 28th, the last weekend in April coming at you. I'm here on the South Fork of the Snake. Pretty traditional Rocky Mountain spring day, you know, that we experience in the greater Jackson Hole and Teton Valley region. It's overcast, it's a bit windy, it's sort of rainy, it's sort of sunny. Maybe you don't need a jacket, maybe you do. You know, it's a little mix of everything, and these are the days when we get on the water when we have everything: waders, down jackets, bibs, rain jackets, hand warmers, you know, everything like that that's needed to stay comfortable on the water, because to be honest, you don't know what Mother Nature is going to throw at you. This week, we saw really warm, nice, pleasant days on the water that correlated to some really good dry fly fishing on areas like the Snake and Jackson, getting the Mother's Day caddis kick-started on the Henry's Fork, and other fisheries in our area sort of becoming a little bit more lively with some warmer ambient air temperatures, a little bit warmer water temperatures, but not necessarily blown out from tributary influence and creeks and those areas that would start funneling in some of that diminished clarity. We'll start to see that coming into this weekend from that warm weather that we had this week. As I was saying last week, we're in that time frame when things are going to ebb and flow. We're going to have a cool weather period that's going to stall out our runoff, and we're going to see clearer water conditions and stable water levels, and then we're going to see warmer trends and warmer strings of weather that's going to feel really good outside, but it's going to wreak havoc on our water conditions, where water levels are going to rise and water clarity is going to decrease. It's the falls, Rainy Creek, Pine Creek, all of those tributaries around here are just a bit brown. They're a little bit more green than anything, and I would expect that that's sort of coming, that runoff is coming down the pipe here in these next couple days. Our weather looking into this weekend, it's going to be cool, it's going to be overcast, excuse me, it's going to be rainy. Tomorrow we're looking at a high of 49 and 33 with some rain in the afternoon. Sunday we're looking at same thing, high 49, 32. Obviously give it a plus or minus 5 or 10 degrees if you head in one direction or another, but it's going to be overcast, it's going to be a little bit windy, and it's going to be rainy. So pack your rain gear, pack your warm layers, get ready, you know, for a traditional spring day on the water here in the greater Rocky Mountain West. Our 10-day, as I was just explaining, it looks warmer, it looks drier. We've got some days in the 60s, even the mid 60s, partly cloudy, lots of sun heading into our 10-day forecast ahead of us. So once again, it's cold and crummy, it's sunny and warm, it's cold and crummy. It's just typical sort of spring weather in our area. The South Fork of the Snake behind me, flows increased this week to 13,700 CFS coming out of Palisades Dam, 15,100 CFS there on the lower river. As you can see behind me, clarity and water conditions on the upper South Fork of the Snake are pretty darn good, especially for this time of year. It is a lot of water for this time of year comparatively from previous years, as water managers are starting to make room in Palisades Reservoir and Jackson Lake for our runoff to get going and to start to fill those reservoirs up. Water temperatures are cold. I still would concentrate on nymphs, rubber legs, sandworm worms, zebra midges, small pheasant tails, Baetis imitations, things of that nature, where you're going to be concentrating on slower water types, buckets, troughs, tailouts, slow banks, recircs, anything of those, that nature where fish are going to be holding in those slower water types, since those water temperatures are really cold. Float options abound on the South Fork of the Snake this time of year with these abnormally high flows. So from the dam all the way down to the confluence is fair game right now. The Henry's Fork, 1,420 CFS coming out of the box, 2,760 CFS on the lower river. Those flows are much higher than I reported from last week. We saw flows increase multiple times coming out of the Box Canyon Island Park Dam as Island Park Reservoir fills, ice comes off of it. It's that sort of chess game that water managers are playing right now to hold and save as much as they can without releasing too much downstream, etc. The Henry's Fork, notably the lower river, we've seen great hatches of Mother's Day caddis. We're still seeing great blueing olive hatches. We're seeing great midges and the occasional stonefly here and there. Your caddis imitations should be smaller, sparser, and darker. Peacock caddis, small X caddis, CDC hot butt caddis, you know, anything in that 16 to 18 range that's dark, gray, black, very dark green is going to be a great imitation for those Brachiocentrus caddis. Your bluing olives are very traditional spring small olive mayflies in your 18s to 20s, and then your midges, you know, your small purple parachutes, your Burchell's hatching midge, you know, your Griffiths gnats. Any of those imitations are going to bid you well during those hatches. But we've seen some pretty darn good dry fly fishing on the Henry's Fork in the afternoons, especially with these warmer days that we had this past week. The Snake in Jackson, it's still at its winter flows. 281 CFS coming out of Jackson Lake Dam, 5,780 CFS there on the lower river. The Snake, since it is so tributary dominant in its flow, you know, will start to blow out quicker than a lot of other rivers. We had some phenomenal reports coming from the Snake with fishing with squallas, caddis, bluing olives, things of all of that nature. But as a lot of our guides, or you hear, you know, old timers say, is like, once you have a couple of those really good dry fly fishing days, expect the Snake to blow out the next day, and that's sort of what it's doing right now. I don't know if these temperatures coming up are going to be cold enough. They quite possibly could be to give us another window at the Snake. You're going to have to watch the conditions, the weather, and the flows, and make your educated choice accordingly from those. But we may have a couple windows left in the Snake before full-on runoff starts up. Teton, 467 CFS. Coming there out of Driggs, 1,340 CFS on the lower river. Very similar to the Snake. We saw some good fishing days on the Teton earlier this week when we had those warm, comfortable days, but naturally we've seen tributaries rise. We've seen clarity decrease. We may see the same thing on the Snake, as I was saying, with clarity increasing with this cooler weather coming this weekend and the cold front. We're supposed to have some snow above 7,000 feet and things along those lines. So once again, you're sort of just going to have to watch and wait and look and make the best guess possible. The fly shop's open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And coming up here in May, we'll have two things. We'll start opening on Sundays, and we're going to have our dollar fly sale. So tune in to that for our dollar fly sale coming up here in the month of May. So thanks for tuning in. We hope everybody has a great weekend and a safe weekend on the water. Bundle up and have fun, and we'll see you here next week.